everyone, welcome back to Expansionscapes, and we're back with another rune, and this rune is Hagalaz, and you should see the picture of Hagalaz somewhere in this video. So you can see that we have very new people this time. Before we used to do these videos with two of our friends, Ryan and Rosa, and then we had another friend, Shruti, come in, and this time it's all new, it's all very different. Unfortunately, Rosa and Ryan couldn't make it, and we're here with Stefan Wagemakers. He's a shamanic healing practitioner. He's also doing breath work, as much as I know, breath work for healing. And Chelsea Turpin-Coxey, she's a dream analysis coach. And Jeanette Bloodworth, she's also has her own YouTube channel. And I think all of us have our YouTube channel, actually. Yeah, she's also doing very interesting also artwork. And Lindsay, she's also a shamanic healing practitioner like me. And today we got together because we all connected to the rune Hagalaz at my invitation, because I have this project which I started some time ago, where I just wanted to connect to every rune of the Elder Futhark alphabet. And my intention was this: I wanted to connect to each rune directly, psychically. The way that we do it in shamanism, we talk to the soul of the rune. And before I developed this skill and learned how to do this, I just never understood how people knew what the runes are, because I read a lot of books about the runes, and I'm reading this book and I'm thinking, how does this guy know what these runes are? And then there's another writer, how does this woman know what the runes are? And then there's this ancient literature, the ancient poems that got to us through, ages. And I'm thinking, well, how did they know what the runes are? And like, where did it all come from? So I really wanted to connect to every rune directly, personally, and go through this like cycle of transformation with each rune. And so I'm documenting this way, and I thought it would be really amazing to have different people to join me and do it with me, because I was really curious, if we're connecting to the same thing, what are we going to get? Are we going to get the same thing? Are we going to get slightly different things? What transformations are we going to experience? And I just really wanted to do it with different people from different walks of life, from different traditions, just to see what happens. Yeah, this is a journey. This is an adventure. So welcome. And now we're going to, actually, we all connected to the rune Hagalaz, but we didn't share any of our noticings with each other previously. We're just going to share it right now, just for fun, actually. Would any of you guys would like to go first?
I'll share.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So I went into this blind. I did not look up the meaning behind it at all. The only thing I know is that it translates to hail. So I did I wanted to do a rune activation within myself so that I could get more familiar. So I did that with Odin. And the message that I got from that was, you hold the light, you carry it with honor and dignity, and no one can ever take that from you. So that was like kind of the overarching message that I got for working with the runes. So Hagalaz, I think that's how you say it, right? Yeah. Initially, I felt a lot of grief coming up, brought to the surface. I saw a grave and like things that I was letting go of there. So it felt like that was being brought up to be let go of. Then I saw it was like a red cloth, and there was like a ripping, and I could hear the ripping, but it was like almost like a blade was cutting through it in the shape of the rune symbol. And I could hear bursting at the seams. Disorder was brought up for me. The message was, disorder is my surname. I kind of create chaos for myself, so that makes sense. But then it got a little bit, I noticed a lot of vulnerable things were being brought up for me. Messages about love and things like that. It said, Cupid's arrow hit the wrong mark. And I saw, then I heard, I see London, I see France, I see Lindsay's underpants. So there was a lot being brought up in regards to exposure, fear of being vulnerable in that way. And I saw the underwear were actually, it was like a pair of men's boxers with hearts on them. Then I got, it was like just things that I was holding on to being brought forth, things that I took on that weren't necessarily mine. There was actually a guinea pig running around at one point, and it was brought up that this was becoming a bit of a pest. So to get a dog instead, which usually for me is very symbolic of loyalty and trust in those types of relationships. So what I found that Hagalaz was very good at was uncovering the truth and exposing what we hide, the secrets that we keep from ourselves. The song that I got that was playing in my head the whole time was No Surprise by Daughtry. And it has a lot to do with like leaving, in a sense, letting go, kind of like heartbreak wrapped in there too. So then I want to say it was towards the very end. Well, there's a few more things. We dove into, there was like this watery, dirty, mucky area, and there was a treasure, and it was very waterlogged and warped. And inside the box, we opened it up. It was very like soggy, old, damaged paper. But I noticed I was able to make out musical notes on the paper. And I sing now, I've sang all my life, but I noticed like that's a part of me that is very raw and vulnerable. So if I expose that part of me, I get very, very nervous, and I don't do it for many people. So I noticed that the papers inside were getting restored, and the papers like floated up in the air and started circling, and then people started dancing. They looked like older people, like village people. And I also got that the truth is multifaceted and open-ended. The heart wants what the heart wants. And there's truth in everything, but there's different, I guess, versions of the truth. And it's not as black and white. There's gray areas. So then I asked for a blessing to help with exploration. And I noticed what came up was being held back, protection, unlearning old behaviors, what is acceptable and what is not in society, truths coming to light, releasing illusions and things that were hidden. So my takeaway from it was there's always more that meets the eye. Truth is felt with the heart, not seen with the eyes. Hagalaz reveals what the heart wants, restores, renews, aligns, and exposes, and serves as a guide. And then after all of the energy work, I decided to go online and see what like the meanings and terms were associated with the rune. So I found that it depicts hardships, lack of control, and obstacles. And the things that were brought forth were definitely obstacles, the vulnerability, exposure, but a lot of that is my fear of losing control that was brought forth, not having control. Another thing that was brought up earlier in the meditation was, it was said, I heard hell is a viperess. And it's funny because I have been doing work with the goddess Hel, who is the goddess of the underworld and death, So it was very much in alignment, and she's associated with this rune as well. So whenever that was said about her being a viperess, I saw like snakes coming up to the surface, like coming towards me, and they had like one had a black stripe down its back. And snake is also the symbol of change and transformation. So I thought that that was interesting, the involvement of death with this room as well. That's all I got.
Yeah. I just really love how you got your images and your symbols, your experiences, and like I'm really enjoying the fact that I got very similar stuff, but also, different based on my needs and wants. But yeah, I'll share it later. But just really excited, like it's so similar, and I know that I've been doing it for a long time. I just get excited every single time that it's similar, that we're getting connected to the same thing and it's similar. I'm like, oh my God, there's something beyond the physical. And then I'm still working with it every day, and it's still a miracle for me every single day. So it's just like, it's so exciting.
Learning to appreciate what is here and now and how it connects.
Yeah, I still can't get used to it. And my husband's like, I think you shouldn't get used to it. That's a gift, that you're supposed to enjoy this. So I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. So thanks, Lindsay, so much. It was so cool.
You're welcome.
And who's ready to jump in and share your experience? Chelsea.
Yeah, so mine was a little different this time, and I think it's because I didn't get a lot of visuals because I was not in like as deep of a meditation as I wanted to be. But I kind of noticed the themes of this start a little early, like a couple nights ago. I think like Friday night. So I had like this dream, and I study Odin a little bit recently. It's been very synchronistic, and I know that was one of the themes with our meditation is to connect with him if we wanted to. I think I subconsciously did it a little sooner than I don't know. It did it in its own way through dreamland. So the dream was me trying to connect with the runes in the way that Odin had done when he was hanging from the tree and slit his wrists and bled out on his neck, and he bled out slowly for the 6 days or something, just to kind of connect with them. So in my dream, I was symbolically doing the same thing. And it registered in my dream that I was mimicking him. So I wasn't freaked out. It was just okay, let's look down and see the symbol of the runes. And I had woken up by the time I started really focusing on them. So in the dream, I really didn't feel like I had gotten any messages of the runes, but I felt like it was kind of something that would lean into my experience with this workshop or class. I don't even know what to call it, our video. Okay, so my personal experience with it was more of a knowing, and I kind of wrote it down here. So the personal experience in meditation was a knowing and experiencing the meaning through a review of past experiences where the hail had purpose in my life, like a very serious cleansing. Which, this past year I've gone through a lot of personal stuff where it's just kind of everything literally was breaking in my life, not just on an emotional level, but even physically, my things around me. So I thought that was interesting, kind of seeing the year's review a tad bit and how it had been a very big part of my year, really, in 2023. So then a broader perspective of the meaning on the mass collectives or an exterior existence outside of myself. The meaning first showed how hell has its strength and power as an element of nature, and it's part of a natural cycle or phasing that happens, and almost like a disastrous cleansing in the exterior and internal world. The shape of the hail reminded me of the Soul of the Circle workshop we did a few months ago, and how everything is a circle in many layered ways, or a cycle. These lessons of the symbols do hold some important value of just understanding the many layers of symbolic languages and consciousness and so on, with even connecting to things, on a conscious level. The main theme I was getting was what we are not meant to have will eventually fall out of our lives. hail is a great way to view in this sense that the internal and external on like a symbolic meaning, how it does that. That's kind of what I had gotten from it. So felt like I could have gone deeper.
Yeah, I also noticed how, like, if I have an intention to connect to something, be it a rune or whatever it is, it's going to happen, like, not just during a meditation, but it's just going to happen for a few days, or however strong the intention was, how strong the curiosity was, and it's just going to teach things about, my life, basically. So you got a perspective kind of about what's happening in your life right now. And do you feel like it gave you any benefit, that, like, this perspective that you received from this rune?
Yeah, I think it was something I kind of already knew in my life, but being able to get connected to a symbolic nature was also very I connected it immediately when I started diving into it a little bit. And, I see it now with a third eye perspective is what I call it, especially since it's been kind of past and I'm transitioning into better stuff. But like seeing that I couldn't have taken a lot of this baggage or all these things with me into my next experience or phase of life. So as it's cycling and phasing, it just shows that not everything is meant to go with you. And so I see the hail as being a natural way of crashing because it's got strength that causes damage, right? And people always end up having hail damage. So I was thinking of it as a very strong cleansing, basically, as a main theme. But it does have good results. So it kind of checks us emotionally to how we hold on to too much. That was something I just gathered just in the last year. But we all anchor ourselves down with all of these materialistic items and things in our homes and bills. So for me, it was also like cleansing these things, releasing, I don't know, it's kind of going through the fire a little bit and what comes out, what's meant. So that's my spiel on it.
Interesting how with Stefan, we also had this fire breathing workshop, where we were like, all of us were a fire and letting go of stuff that we don't need. So I really like the synchronicity that it just recently happened, like when 2 days ago, I don't remember, but yeah. Thanks, Chelsea. That's so cool. Yeah. Who's up to share? We have Stefan and we have Jeanette.
I can share, but I have to lower the soup and then I'm going back.
Okay.
I can soup.
Okay. I like the Buddhism and the Christianity in your room. It's and you're a shamanic healing practitioner with breath work, making soup. That's good.
Everything is the same. We're all one. So
it all goes together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for Hagalaz, I haven't worked with the runes yet or with any of the Norse gods. I know a bit about them, but not that much. Mostly from TV shows. So not really deep stuff. So I also first wanted to connect with Odin, to see, to ask for his blessing, sort of. So I did a journey with my guide. We went to the upper world, and we got a figure brought us to Odin, who was sitting in a tower, to his room, and I got in, and then we talked, and the first thing I don't know, he's like a father figure, and I had this image of him being a serious guy, so, but whenever he was very, I don't know, almost playful, sort of stuff, and he did some very, he was the main god, the father of the gods, so he had some seriosity to him, but he was also very joyful and and loving in a way. And he explained to me that life is a part of joy, and love is a part of life. So it's life is pretty gray without it. So I asked a blessing for that. And then I asked about runes. When I got in, the runes were already on the table, but we didn't go in there straight. So first was the first part, and then I asked about the runes and if I could, if he could introduce me to them, so I could work with them. So he gave me a blessing, and during this blessing, I noticed the runes. They started to flow. They started to not flow, go into the air, and it seemed like they got woven into my energy fields in my body. So then I went back, and then I asked my guy to connect with Hagalaz. We went to the lower world, and then somewhere in the tree, we got to also another room where Hagalaz was sitting. Was there, not really. It's not like a person. And the stuff I got there. Oh yeah, about it being a destructive force. Like it's very sudden. It comes out of nowhere and it strikes, and then it's back off. It's off again. Also, I get this images of winter and the north. Yeah, of course, Hagalaz is hail. I knew about the connection because I saw it. I try to meditate upon the symbol itself without having any information, but yeah, I already knew the meaning, so it might. Anyways,
it's okay. We all knew the meaning hail. It's available everywhere. It's cool.
Yeah. And then, before I did the journeys. Oh no, yeah, or actually, I'm not sure.
You went to the rune, and the rune was sitting there, and you said it was a destructive force that happened suddenly, and then it made you think of the cold north winter.
Yeah, like and also in the TV show, what's it called? The phrase "winter's coming."
Winter's coming. Okay, Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Game of Thrones. Yeah.
So the rune was saying that warning that winter is coming. Okay.
Yeah. I first assumed the position of the rune to see what came in, and that was actually the first I did, and then I got like it's being a mediator between heaven and earth. So it comes down. It's a descending force because of the letter, but there was a staircase like connecting the two from up to down.
So the two things were connecting heaven and earth. The two lines?
Yeah. So the upper arms is the heavens, and the two lower legs are earth, are from heaven to earth, and they are connected, but with a like this. So a descending force. So the upper from upper downwards, and with the hail, it's like a wrath of the gods. A punishment came forth. Like it's really this, painful force. And when I connected with the hail itself, it's also like the heavens falling down upon the earth. It's the like an earthly form of the air, but it's like the water that's connecting. The water gets out of the air because it gets frozen and falls down on the earth. So I had also this image of when I went inwards to see how the rune connected with my inner world. Like could be thought forms that get into materialization through our emotions and get into physical form very suddenly, but then also as a force that it disappears again. So sort of like um, it gets down into our body, then and then be released. So we go through this heartache, through this pain, very um, very hard. Like Lindsay said, very hardship, difficult emotions, difficult time. We go through it to then be transformed. Which also reminds me, and this also came up like the tarot card, the tower. So the image of the tower with the thunder crashing down, which stands for sudden change and transformation through hardship. So it's something that's sudden. You didn't expect it. It's hard. It really crashes down, and then from there comes a transformation. There is some lightness afterwards, but it feels really intense, really direct, really strong, and sudden. So yeah, I think that's the gist of it. That's what I got. Yeah.
Do you feel like it's in any way connected to your, like, whatever you're going through in life right now? Like, you don't need to say anything specific what's happening if you don't want to. Just like, do you feel like there are any like a synchronicity of something happening in your life right now that's like that, or it's removed from your life?
It's something that I've experienced a few times last year, but right now I'm not quite sure. I don't find a direct connection with my life right now. So
that's cool. I mean, that's nice. Maybe you've had enough of that.
Yeah. Also, but though I did experience, because when I looked into my body to see where Hagalaz would be found there, I felt it like also in the heart region, and a lot of like really small but steady ball or something like that, like a hail maybe.
Oh, I really like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Inside my heart, which I did experience earlier on today also, and I am very much into these phases where this fear or heart ache comes up. There's a lot of pain there still, so maybe in that way it sort of connects with what I am going through, like what I went through today for a moment, and which happens more often, like an up and down roller coaster. This pain comes up, so yeah, maybe like that.
Yeah, so it's different, but yeah, I understand. Wow, so cool. I loved how you went all around the tree and different rooms and met Odin and had your like a surprise realization that Odin is not necessarily the serious guy, and yeah, and like traveling around, seeing and having the runes like fly around and get into your energy field. That's really cool.
I found that it's like they were weaving into my energy field, like a sort of initiation, I guess. A visual image of the integration, the initiation.
Yeah, that was a fun journey. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention, like, I think Chelsea was like, is this workshop or is this something else? And I was just, while I was listening to him talking about Odin, how he has, desire for joy and stuff like that, I was like, I think we should call this video just, play. It's not a workshop. It's not a class. It's just play, like just getting together to play. And the toys are the runes, Today's toy is Hagalaz, Yeah.
And even if the meaning is not that joyful, it seems at first, we can still have fun with it.
The topic is quite hard. And most of us are going through some tough times, but we can still play and find joy between the bad things.
Mm-hmm. We can do it. So,
thank you, Stefan. So, Jeanette, would you like to share what you got from your connection?
Sure. And you can call this Olga's Playhouse.
Yeah, why not? I like that.
Okay, so for me, I think I've mentioned this before to y'all, but I'm more 3D. I don't like labels, but if we were going to label me, medium channeler would probably be a accurate description, but I don't like labels.
Oh, okay.
So,
sorry.
Symbols, though, which is funny because that came in with the runes, that chaos and symbols. So at first I got older than runes. That was the very first thing that came in on repeat, was older than runes. I'm like, older than runes. And it was for this particular rune. It wasn't like collectively the runes, this rune. And then when I channeled into it a little more, that's when I got the chaos. And I'm like, aha, chaos is older than runes. So there's chaos in the beginning of time, yada, yada, yada. But so it's symbolism. Symbolism is older than runes. So that was just some things I got about the runes specifically. Then something about my kids, my older two kids. And then there's this masculine, feminine. So all words are either masculine or feminine. When you're learning Spanish, they teach you the feminine word, the masculine word. With this rune, there was this question of, are you masculine or are you feminine? And it could never answer. It was like this teeter-totter, this balance of feeling chaos. Just it looks masculine, but it has a lot of feminine qualities to it. And then the other thing I got, and this was, so I had a soul come through with the runes, a soul that I knew from my childhood, someone who had passed away, and they were trying to explain a cold barn, dying happy in a cold barn, like you die, but you die in love. It's something I have to feel into more to get more clarity on it. But that's, again, I'm a feeler, so I feel more things than hear or see. Hearing is second for me. But so it was this feeling of being of dying, but they were happy. They were in love. So they didn't care that they were dying alone. I don't know why alone. I don't know. But so that's something that came in. And then, so with each one of y'all, when y'all were talking, I got stuff through. So like the grief and heartbreak that Lindsay was talking about, a lot of grief and heartbreak feeling. around the rune itself. So I felt that too. And then truth in the eye of the beholder. And I'm not sure if this is something that Chelsea and I had talked about, but it was something that came in when you were talking about yours, was this fact that these blind people all had to touch this elephant and describe what they saw. And depending on where they were on the elephant is what they described. So they all saw, something different because they didn't see the big picture. They were only describing the piece that they saw. They were all telling the truth, but they didn't see the bigger picture. So, and then with Chelsea, you kind of provided me some clarity on the chaos. You said that, hell has a purpose. Chaos has a purpose. Even chaos has purpose in our life. We may not like it, but it's there for a reason, and we have to lean into it and feel into it to see where it's actually going to lead us. And then with Stefan, what you were trying to explain was, what came in for me was as above, so below. And towers that are built on weak foundations are meant to fall. So that's kind of the chaos is meant to happen. A tower that falls was meant to fall because the foundation wasn't strong enough to hold it. So that's everything that I got, and ta-da, I'm done.
Yeah, it's interesting how you feel more emotions than seeing, because I tend to forget because I just experience things how I experience. I tend to forget that different people experience things differently. I also felt something connected to what you're talking about, the elephant. Like it's all truth, but people experience differently, and nobody's lying or something. Everybody says the truth, but it's all different. But the elephant is one.
Exactly.
But the elephant is something else completely.
Yeah, they'll argue. No, it's hard and rough. No, it was wet. They had the trunk, they had the foot, Yeah.
That's why I love symbolism with the emotional connection, and it's always going to be personal, if it's on a soul level or even like a subconscious level. And there's something I wanted to point out. I put it in the chat, but with going off of Jeanette's, she said about the death being they were happy and content but alone. And I was thinking it must represent the individual journey of change. So it wasn't necessarily like a true death, but the changing aspect of the cycle, and how we tend to do that personally, internally on our own.
Yeah.
That's what I
the feeling that came in was very much, she knew, the feminine knew she was dying, but she was okay. Even though she was alone, she was in love, and that was okay. Like that was the he wasn't there, or she wasn't, the partner wasn't there, but it was still okay.
That's beautiful. That reminds me of a dream I had 2 years ago of the masculine and feminine, which is another thing, but it showing how there was a lot of change going on and how there needed to be a preservation in some way, like spiritually or internally. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so something stays and something leaves. That was
not everything is meant to go with you.
Yeah, that was one gigantic emotional journey you experienced.
Yeah.
Thanks for connecting to Hagalaz and sharing what you got. I'm just like really enjoying seeing how things are similar but also different, and the elephant is Hagalaz, basically. We also have actually Ryan, who's usually in these videos with us. He couldn't make it, but he's still connected to the rune, and he sent a little text on what he got. So I'm just going to read it for all of us here. The path of pain, sharp as a whistle, sounding the alarm. This is wrong for me in the given moment. But it is also a wayfarer to a moment of clarity. If be it a new perspective comes in that is more light and feels acceptable and adoptable. Where it may come from sky and sea, I think he meant where it may come from sky and sea, the universe, or all that be. I welcome the change and the oncoming death as I find myself, with myself, for myself, no longer depressed. So he went into a poem. He got a poem out of it. Yeah, it just feels like, again, quite the same. It's like I feel like the same strings are being played, but different words are used to describe the music. Like all of us connecting to Hagalaz. And I had so much kind of written to share in my notebook, but I feel like it's not necessary to go into details anymore. And it feels like a relief to me because I always feel kind of overwhelmed with, how do I share this? It's so complicated. So I get nervous and I'm like, I don't know. So thanks to you guys, I've already covered everything. I guess I'll just mention not the different, but I guess surprising something I saw, which was like when I first connected to Odin and I asked him, what can I do to better connect to this rune Hagalaz? And he showed me 2 Egyptian gods. And one of them was the crocodile head god. And I didn't even know anything about this god before. The god with the crocodile head. And then he showed me Thoth. And he said that take those 2 gods and feel them in your heart. And so what do you mean feel them in your heart? I don't want to put anybody else into my energy system. So that's weird. What are you talking about? And he meant that like as within, so without, as above, so below, the universe, like everything that's contained in the universe is contained in you, and everything that's contained in you is contained in the universe, kind of like microcosm, macrocosm type of thing. And he said that the essences of those gods exist within you. All you need to do is kind of like tickle them and activate them with your curiosity and focus. Activate those parts of you that correspond to those gods. And the crocodile headed god was his name was, I looked it up online because I asked him, can I just look that god up online? I didn't want to spend so much time meditating on this god. So he's like, okay. So his name is Sobek, and he stands for also destruction and creation, and also for protection. And also he stands for desire. And appetite. Like he was notorious for having a big appetite for like sexual appetite. And so he was also the god of creation, which makes sense. Like sexual appetite, you create new things. And thought, which, well, I guess everybody kind of is quite familiar, but I just felt them in my heart when I connected to those concepts. And one weird thing happened, which was when I started to connect to thought, actually, Odin was standing in front of me and he started to spin. And he just went like whoosh, 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 spinning, spinning. And then he turned into Thoth. And I'm like, okay. But I kind of understood it because the god Thoth is also about writing, and he's the god of letters and words and wisdom and magic, and so many things are similar to what Odin stands for. And I was kind of shown like original kind of frequency string, almost like an ancestor or a symbol, which like that truth, the elephant you're talking about. And then that string manifests itself in different ways. And then one of the ways it manifested itself is Odin, and another way is Thoth. So in a way, they're kind of family because of this one string. And then this one string can manifest itself as different things like plants, animals on this earth, stories, concepts, ideas, emotions, people, carrying a part of that frequency. So just like you, Jeanette, you were connected to something older and kind of pre-descending the runes or the symbols even. I was also taken to that place, to that concept of kind of like foundational. I saw them as strings of truth, like frequencies of sound. And it's like those strings created our world, and they were some kind of truths or concept. I can't put a word on it because they're kind of wordless, but they're fundamental, creating at the basis, the foundation of this world. And that implies there are other worlds that have different strings at the basis of their world. And it's like what we're doing here. I saw us running around on top of those strings and like playing those strings, like playing the guitar and listening to those songs that we create by running around on those strings. So we're all kind of playing a song. And in the other world, you would be playing a different song with different instruments. And yeah, so I was taken down to this kind of, and also I was shown that you, Olga, has a soul, right? And your soul has a name. And that name was given to me as a symbol also. It was a pretty simple symbol of like lines and curves, and it was shining in darkness, and it was an unspoken something. And it was shining and like manifesting itself as different lifetimes, maybe as a human, maybe not as a human, incarnations. But it was always burning with one fire, which is like kind of like my DNA. And those strings that create the world are the DNA of our world. And yeah, trying to stay on topic here. Yeah, so it was kind of cleaning my relationship to those strings. And then the rune Hagalaz showed me that actually the crocodile god showed me. And yeah, I won't get into details, but yeah, both Todd and Sobek, Todd showed me that Hagalaz helps to return you back to that original fire of your soul. Because sometimes we get carried away by inertia, or we just keep going, and then it's enough. We've gone too far, and we've gone too far and kind of straying away. So then the rune Hagalaz helps us with a kind of a violent force to get back to our fire. And I was shown a difference between like Fehu and this rune, because Fehu is also about creation and destruction and other things, but that one was a very like final creation and destruction. So if you would say like, oh, if all the runes are a lifetime of a human being, then Fehu would be the birth of the human and the death of the human, which is final. Like it's final. But Hagalaz is a place where some kind of violent ending happens, but it's not a final death. And in fact, they showed that in the rune Hagalaz, which I drew here, you can also see the rune Urus. The bottom part of the Hagalaz is the rune Urus. And Urus, from my personal experience of connecting to it, it was about choices. It's about when we decide to go with one project and saying no to everything else. Or it's about, being born in this lifetime and kind of like forgetting all that stuff behind the veil of forgetfulness, all the rest of ourselves, and just focusing on this incarnation. So they were mentioning like it is kind of like a destruction, but it's more like a shakeup. And the whole picture of Hagalaz reminds me of earthquake, of like a quick shift, violent shift. But in that shift, you will always see Urus, which means that in the underlying kind of property of it is that we're going back to throwing away all else so we can choose something. And I was shown the same as you, Chelsea, kind of hail and the physical stuff. So I was shown like a house and there's a family and hail comes and the crops are broken and the barn is broken and the roof is broken and the car is broken. Everything's broken. And this guy is like the head of the family is just panicking. He's like, he's trying to fix everything, every little thing that's breaking. And then he just puts his hands down and he remembers, okay, what's the most important thing that I need to attend to right now? And then he's like, my family. And he's like, okay, he runs to his family. He puts everybody in safety in some room somewhere and in warmth. And then he sits with them. And then he just relaxes, even though more stuff is being destroyed. It's like being reminded of what's truly important in your life, and then everything else becomes unimportant. Like going back to your truth. And I asked, when should people contact the rune Hagalaz for divination, like for blessings and things like that? And they said, when you're in that panicking state and you don't know what to do and you're confused, that's when you ask. And I said, what are you going to do then? What are you going to do? They said, we're going to give another perspective so that you can experience this change as less painful and less stressful, and experience it more through like enlightening realizations and intuition that would help you to understand the situation and you wouldn't have to go through all the pain and suffering. And they gave me an example of, I said, well, how? And they gave me an example of a guy hiking on the mountain, like on a hill. And he's just like walking. He's very busy. He has a big plan ahead of him. And the truth is, he's been walking too much and he kind of forgot where he was going. But he has a goal, but he kind of forgot. And he's kind of walking too much. So nature and the universe helps him by sending like a bear his way, or a deer that runs by, or a bird, or something scary that makes him fall down, and he just starts sliding down a hill with trees. And he starts panicking. He thinks that, oh my God, it's going to be so hard to get back to that road. It's so hard. So he's just trying to hold on to every tree. He's bleeding. He's being scratched. He's trying to go up, but he can't. He keeps falling down that hill. And then they said, that's the time when you should ask the rune Hagalaz for another perspective, which is going to be like a gift of intuition, a memory of your truth, of your soul's fire, to kind of help you get back on track. So that he remembers that, I don't know why I was going there anyway. What I wanted was down there, actually. And then he can just help himself to go down by kind of using the trees to slide easier and safer down to where actually he was going, actually what he's seeking. But he forgot because of inertia, because of all the stuff we do every day, we forget and we lose our way. What do you call it? Not being able to see the tree for the leaves and not being able to see the forest for the tree, something like that. So this would help you to see the tree and the forest and the big picture, kind of like that. Yeah, so that's what I got. Yeah. I can see you guys are typing in the chat. I'm just gonna check it out. Chelsea said a listener said you are describing the string theory. Yeah, but from the scientific point of view, I wouldn't ever understand the string theory. It's like me and math and physics is just like different worlds. So, okay, so it's not live. Someone's listening from another room. Okay, cool. So that was my story with the Hagalaz. And personally in my life, I am having this horrible transition with many bad things happening again and again and again, and like now it's just new bad things happening. So, but I asked for a blessing from Hagalaz to give me that third perspective, so that I don't have to go through the pain and suffering. Just go like, oh, I don't need this stuff. I need to go there actually. So, I'm hoping that this is what's going to happen, and I will stop, panicking and grabbing onto trees and scratching myself and bleeding myself. Yeah. So I guess we can unmute all of us so we can kind of maybe have a wrap up on what if you guys had any impressions of this whole play with the Rune Hagalaz. What do you guys think? How did you enjoy this experience, and just your kind of maybe takeaway and feedback?
I have something to add before I forget, and I get really excited, and I'm like, I think that the bursting at the seams message that I got, because I'm like, I have to share this right now.
Yeah.
So, Jeanette, thank you, because you helped me make some connections as well with the elephant. And last night I actually forgot until you brought it up that it was said, are we going to discuss the elephant in the room? And I felt avoidance, and I asked, are we? So that goes back to me, my tendency to not want to see the elephant at all. I just kind of avoid it. And then it brought me to another message that I got. I work with OM as well, and I've gone through that whole process. I'm nearing the end of that cycle. But it was brought forth what happens when the wise elephant has lost its will to see. That was a strong message that I've kind of carried with me through this process of I have the ability to see, but it is a choice, which has also been very up in my system for the last couple of days. All these choices. Well, I don't really want to do that. And just kind of feeling this teeter-totter within myself of my ability to make choices and the choices that I do have. Olga, when you were talking about the strings, immediately I just got all this information about the musical message and the fire of the soul that is connected to me. That is the center of my fire is music. So I'm well, I had this thought while you were talking, well, I'm writing books and I'm doing all these creative endeavors and things like this. But I wasn't able to see how music was already connected and interwoven into that for me. Because if the music is there and it's already present and it's the fire of my soul, then the music will always be there. And it will be woven in the things that I'm doing already. So I don't necessarily have to be singing or having that as the center of the show anymore, but it's already taking place in everything that I'm doing. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and maybe like allowing it to come through without like limiting it or something in whatever way it comes. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to push it down. Like, no, that's scary. Stay in there. So, yeah, my takeaway is, I tend to, destruction and the tower and things falling apart is scary. There's this part of me that loves it. I love I love destruction. I do, because that's how the new stuff is going to be rebuilt. You can't build a tower on faulty foundation. So like, I love the chaotic energies, and it's learning to find that balance for me. It has been for a while. So like, I love the tsunamis and the avalanche and the volcano, things that really, really stir shit up, because I know change is coming. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, probably like the 2 near-death experiences I felt in my life were like the things I would never trade for anything. It's like these were the highlights of my whole life as near-death experiences. And then I hear Chow go like, "But did you die?" So I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't.
I love that. No, and that's the thing for me personally as well. I can relate with what Lindsay was saying about enjoying the chaos or the destruction of change. And I think when we're able to recognize it's happening while it's happening, that makes it a lot easier. I'm sorry, dog. So one of the themes for my last year, just being in this process for like drawn out along, at this point, it's been a very large pivot or transition, but it's trusting the process. And I think when we add fear and anxiety and all of our worries to that, it makes it like a lot worse. So it definitely has a form of trusting the process, a lot of intuition and grounding within that, but also, and allowing change and kind of looking at it through those perspectives versus being stuck in that very moment, freaking out. I think I also say it's good to zoom out and see how it lays out in your picture, or your image of your life, or the path of how things work and move. So I really enjoyed the lesson of the Hail rune, but also the fact that it is very relevant to what I'm going through as well in my life. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Stefan, do you want to share like any takeaway or impressions or something of this experience, getting together and doing this kind of thing?
Yeah, it's interesting how people get different insights, but also similar on some levels, but different layers that resonates on different layers, and that someone can say something totally different than what you just said, but on a different layer, you feel that the energy is sort of the same or has the same vibe to it. And yeah, I had some I'm not sure. I've heard from all of you when you said something. I said, "Oh yeah, that's." I also noticed that, but I didn't write it down, or I didn't say it, but so okay, yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, so it's also always interesting to hear the what the other people got, and how it also resonates or not with you. So yeah, thank you for this experience.
Thank you for coming and joining. How about Jeanette? Do you have any kind of?
Oh, I really enjoyed it because, like Lindsay, I didn't look into what the rune meant beforehand, so it was very, very intriguing to take what I got and then listen to everyone else and see how it applied together. Like, I enjoyed it. I thought this was great.
Yeah, thank you. Me too. And one of the things I really, to anyone who's watched throughout this whole video, first of all, thank you so much. And one of my intentions is for like kind of sending out a reminder and inspiration out there that we can experience the world kind of so directly like this on our own. So like we don't always have to learn about the world through other people. And I don't want to say like, oh, don't read books or something, or only through books. Of course, books are fantastic, and sharing each other's stories and knowledge is fantastic, and reading books is fantastic. But also remembering that we also have that connection to anything in the world within us, like in our hearts right now. So like in addition to reading books and listening to maybe some teachers out there, or coaches and guides, and anyone who's sharing anything, we can always connect to what they're talking about or what we're interested in, like directly. We have that ability, and I think a lot of times we kind of forget that we have that ability, and we kind of maybe tend to lean on other people's perspectives. So that's one of my intentions for this project. And also, if you guys like this kind of get-togethers, doing different things like this, we have a community that we're building. It's called the Conscious Collective. If Chelsea, if you could mention about our community and how to find it, and also all of the links to all of our websites and all of our services will be in the description box below under this video. So if you'd like to look up any one of us and look up any one of us, all the links are going to be in the description box below. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And the Conscious Collective is spiritual resources for the modern world. A lot of us that are in the group are certified or trained professionals in our areas of niche and work. So we've got a lot of shamanic work, a variety of life coaching and kind of spiritualistic ways, like I'm dream analysis. We've got some people who build a lot of digital content, like YouTubes and podcasting. So there's resources and information and stuff that we hope creates a beautiful environment for anyone who might be seeking healing in a mental health aspect or even a spiritual aspect. We think they go hand in hand with mind, body, and soul. So we try to create a lot of variety within the group. You can follow us on Facebook and even subscribe to our newsletter, which everyone kind of contributes. So it's a very interesting newsletter with a lot of beautiful articles in different areas of expertise. And that'll be in the link whenever the video posts. But yeah, that's the group in a nutshell. And we love doing collaborated workshops, group work, even like this. We're kind of always talking and teaching and trying to really create some awareness on a lot of these topics, as well as, promoting our services. And, I think for a lot of people who are in the group as a seeker, sorry, now I'm just talking about it. People who are seekers within the group, they get to have a really great experience with any one of us. Because it's not just one service, that's going to fix everything, but it's the experience, if you wanted to do shamanic work with your soul, to explore dream analysis, do breath work. We've got some products for sale. I know Lindsay's got these awesome shamanic candles. And I'm a big fan of the candles. So there's a lot going on. So it's a great space to really just explore, feel comfortable in that. And everyone will recommend each other. So we know we're a pretty reliable source.
Yeah, I really love actually this building this community, and yeah, it's a new thing. It's a creation of a new thing. So I'd like to thank everyone who's been watching this, who watched this till the end. Thank you guys so much. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Check us out in all the links below. And thanks everyone here for coming, joining, and playing with this rune. And playing together, have an adventure with this rune, Hagalaz. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.